While working on any business problem, there would be many use cases to track the time along with the date. The DateTime data type in BigQuery helps you in capturing the date along with the time. In this offering, we will be looking into the various DateTime functions available in BigQuery. First, let us look at how to get the current date time. We have the current date time function for that. The current date time function prints the current date and time in UTC time zone. We have also an option to pass a time zone to the current date time function. So if I pass America, Los Angeles, it would print the current date time in America, Los Angeles. Now for constructing a datetime object, we have this datetime function which takes 6 arguments, which is the year, the month, the date, time, hours, minutes, and seconds. So this printed 31st January 2022, 12 a.m. We also have an option to construct a date time object from a date object. For that, we can pass a date object to the datetime function. So we pass a date object of say 2022 1st of January, and so this would create a datetime object, and the time will be automatically set to 12 o'clock in the midnight. We have an additional option of passing a time also to this function. Say if I pass 1 p.m. as a time, it would construct a datetime object for 1st of January and 1 p.m. For constructing a datetime from a string, we also have this parse datetime function. So parse datetime accepts a string. First argument for this is a format string, and the second argument would be the date string. So for example, if I have a date like say Thursday, December 25th, 7:30, and say 2022. So this is some weird format I am making it up. Now if I have a string like this, how to construct a date object from this? So we can use the parse datetime function. I can paste the string as a second argument, and in the first argument we need to pass the format string. So for the format string, the option would be %a, %b, which is for the month, %e, which is for the day, %i, which is for the hour, %m, which is for the minute, %s, which is for the seconds, and finally we have %y, which is for the year. Now if you run this, it would construct the datetime object as 25th December and 7:30 in the morning. So given a datetime object, you want to print the datetime as a string like this. We can use the select format datetime function for that. The datetime function, format datetime function accepts 2 arguments. The first argument is the format string, and the second argument is the actual datetime object. So let me construct a datetime object first. And in the first argument, we need to pass the format string. So we can pass it as %a, which would be making the day, %h, which would be the abbreviated month, %t, which would be the date, %i will be the hours, %m will be the minutes, and %p will be the AM PM. So this printed the given datetime object in the format which we require. You can also experiment various format objects, format strings by going through the documentation. The extract function allows us to extract a part of the datetime object. So given a datetime object, we can say extract hour from datetime object, and I can pass a datetime object. So this would extract the hours from the datetime object. Similarly, I can also extract a millisecond from a datetime object. So if I give the 950 milliseconds as the milliseconds, the extract millisecond would extract the millisecond. The same way you can also extract an year from the datetime object. Now let us look into some of the datetime arithmetic functions. So we have the datetime add function, which accepts a datetime as its first argument, and the second argument would be the interval you want to add. So suppose you want to add an interval of 50 milliseconds. So this would actually add 50 milliseconds to the 950 milliseconds we have. So that would make it as 8 p.m. and 1 second it would have made it. Same way you can add other options like say an year, which will take it to 2023, or even you can add a 1 quarter here, which would move the date by 1 quarter. Same as add, we have the sub function, which also takes an interval as the second argument. So here I have subtracted 1 quarter. I can also subtract 1 millisecond from the given date time, which would make it 949 milliseconds. The datetime diff function accepts two datetime objects and computes the diff between those two. Now, when you're computing the diff, you can also specify in what interval you want to compute the diff. So suppose you have these two datetimes and you wanted to compute the diff between them in the format of milliseconds. So you can pass milliseconds as a third argument, and when you do the diff, it would print 50 milliseconds as the output. Now we will look into the datetime trunc function. The datetime trunc function takes two arguments, which is the datetime expression and a part. So let us say I am giving hour as the part. If I run this, you can see that the minutes, the seconds, and the milliseconds have been reset to 0. So what datetime trunc does is it would truncate the date up to the given part. So suppose if I give minute as the part, you can see that the seconds and the milliseconds have been reset to 0 and the minute has been retained. We can also give say year as the part, in which case it would reset the date time to the beginning of the year. We can also pass a week as the argument for the datetime trunc function. Now what it does here is it would truncate the week and move the date to the beginning of the week. So in this case, August 7th, being a Sunday, is the beginning of the week. So it truncated the date to the beginning of the week. The week argument also accepts an optional parameter. Say suppose you want your week to start on a Saturday. So you can give Saturday as the argument here for the week. And if you run this, it would print August 13th itself, because August 13th is a Saturday. So it truncated to the beginning of the Saturday. So you can see that the hours, minutes, and seconds got truncated to 0, and the date is retained on the Saturday. The last day function is used for computing the last day. It also accepts two arguments, the date time expression and the date part. So here, let me move it to the last day of the week. So Saturday is the last day of the week. So it printed August 13th. If I make it as month, it will move the date time to the last day of the month. And I can give it to an year, or I can even give it a quarter, which would move it to the end of the quarter. So for the last day function, you cannot give time options like quarter, milliseconds or hour or anything, because it is just for moving the date part. So only in date trunk we can truncate by a millisecond or an seconds or minutes or hours. For last day we can give only either a day or date or month or quarter or a year.